What's up, guys? My name is Justin. Welcome back to the channel today, and my apparently awful ability to understand why the intros for Need for Speed Porsche Unleashed are so loud and terrible, and why the music is so insane. Anyways, we are back today for part number 5 of the Porsche Need for Speed, whatever this is called, Porsche Unleashed playthrough. First 3 parts were the factory driver part. Make sure you go watch those if you haven't already. And then last week we finally jumped into the evolution mode, tackled the 356 tournament, and I hinted that I would do a little bit of off-camera grinding through that tournament and doing some other things to increase our monetary bank account, so that we could afford to, as we play through this, hopefully, fingers crossed, eventually when we get to the end of this in 40 parts or whatever from now, we'll have one of everything. And not, I realize that would be insane, so we're going to just try to get one of every convertible when a convertible is offered, and then coupes when there is no convertible offered for certain cars along the way, which is fine. But I just like the idea of having one of everything. I think that'd be really cool. So we're going to give that a try. Hopefully it works out. You'll see what I did shortly, but it took many, many, many hours. So it was worth it, though. I hope it's fun and works out well. So if you're new here, make sure you drop that sub down below. Drop a like if you enjoyed this and want to continue to see more content. Going to post these Need for Speed Porsche Unleashed videos every Saturday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So we'll get right into it. We'll see what we made for progress here. Our sound reset for some reason. I'm not exactly sure why that was. Turn off, please. Thank you much. Interesting. Probably broke the game. As you can see here, though, we have $457,599, which when the 356 tournament pays 5 grand, it takes quite a while. We did this tournament 14 times, and then we did a bunch of buying and selling of cars from the used car market, and that took an awful long time, but it was more than worth it. So we are in the year 1956, as you can see here, still in the classic era. Still have only done that one tournament, but I also purchased many, many, many early 356s, and the reason for this is that if I remember correctly, most of the I got one of everything for 54, 53, 52, and 51. But if I remember correctly, the 1950 cars, especially as you move through to the golden era and especially in the modern era, you can't find them. And so they're very, 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 very rare, and they end up being very, very expensive. So our current value here for these cars is going to go through the roof. So as we go through the career, instead of having to grind more, my theory is that we can just sell one of these for like a couple hundred grand, and then have enough money to purchase whatever we need to continue our streak of owning everything. So we'll look first back. We'll go back to what we need for the second tournament, the 356A tournament. We have not done this yet. $6,000 prize money open to the new 1956 and onward 356As. I guess technically you call the 356s now, as of the year 2024, 356 pre-As, because the distinction, whatever. But at the time, obviously, they were the only ones that are 356s. Anyway, so we're going to have 2 races here at the Pyrenees and Normandy. We drove Normandy in the last episode. We have not driven Pyrenees yet, I don't believe, but we'll go look at the car garage. Many, many offerings are had, and we're just going to go ahead. Part of the reason I did this, we're just going to buy one of everything. We're just going to make them purple. What the hell? Why not? We'll just buy a 356A cab, 356A super cab. Again, we'll just make them all purple, whatever. We just did 356A super cab, so we need a 356A 1600 cab. And purple, of course. Why am I picking purple? I don't know. I always picked black when I did this. I don't think it really matters. So we did cab, we did super cab, 1600 cab, 1600 super cab. All right. We'll keep going along. We're spending quite a lot of money, but not that much. I mean, they're not that expensive. 356A Speedster, and then we'll buy a 356A Super Speedster. Wrap this up. I don't know what the difference is, or if there is a difference, or I don't really care. Yeah, I can't tell a difference. Someone tell me a difference if you're smart and ingrained on classic Porsches. But anyways, this 356A Super Speedster. Wait, I thought that's what we were on. Super Speedster. Okay, what the heck. Anyways, we're going to get this one, again, in purple. And this is going to be the car we use, 356A Super Speedster. Why? Because, in theory, it's the fastest one, I guess, of the lot. So we're just going to roll with it. I don't know the difference between this and the other one. Obviously, it's fresh. We just bought it. I mentioned last time out, you can upgrade the parts if needed on all these cars, actually. We're not going to bother with that today. The only car that we might have to do that on is the 914 when we get to that at the start of the golden era, because that car is really, really bad performing from stock. I don't know why that is, but the AI sometimes or often, I guess, depending on the tournament, will use upgraded parts on their cars, which makes it a little bit more difficult, but I think that we should be just fine, especially in these classic era tournaments, to go through and just go straight into it with what we got. So anyways, we'll hop right into the 3, 5, 6, 8 tournament without further waiting. Again, we have Pyrenees and Normandy. We'll just start at the Pyrenees, I guess. Why not? And we'll get underway. So we're ready to rock and roll for the second part of the evolution mode, the second tournament, the 356A Cup or tournament or challenge or whatever it's called. But coming from the back as usual to start, and let's get to it. I don't know what everybody else is using, but we should have a performance advantage, or at least be on the same playing field as everybody else here. So the Super Speedster, in theory, should be at least as fast as the other guys, if not faster. So a lot of them jumping off into the shortcut. Dylan does not. It's been quite a while since I've actually done a race playing this game. It's been several days because when I've been on the last couple of days recently, it's been to grind out the money in the used car. So going to be a little bit of a warm up here to get back in the groove, but again, shouldn't be too difficult this tournament. Pretty straightforward. Interesting that some drivers took the shortcut and some did not. Usually they all kind of go the same way, but pretty fast car, obviously much faster than the normal 356 that we were struggling to push beyond about 80 miles an hour in that first tournament, so this is a nice change of pace to be up towards 100. Obviously this is the fastest 356A, which is fine by me. Keep chugging right along. Again, there are some tighter corners here around Pyrenees, but it's a pretty fun track. Not my favorite of kind of the basic beginner free tracks. I think that Normandy and Côte d'Azur are both more fun than this when it comes to the early tracks, but no matter. A little bit of slide there to make sure we don't go out and hit that wall. Still a pretty understeery car, but it hooks up relatively well. So back to status quo. It's Dylan and Paris. We're going to go with Paris as the pronunciation there, up in third place as usual. They all kind of slot into order as they start based on their, I guess, skills. I don't know how they allocate that in this game, but the only difference in that comes when we have like the class tournaments later in the gold and the modern era, and it's you get a mix of cars. You get, you know, some 911s, some 356s for the first one of those. You get you know, maybe 944s and 930 turbos in some of those. You know, it varies in some of those class tournaments, and then you'll see some shakeup because Dylan might take a 944 when you know, Wingnut has a 911 turbo or something like that. But for the most part, they pretty much appear in the order you see them there. Just one of the quirks of this game, and again, it's not reflective of their upgrades or anything. I don't know how that works, but I assume they just make Dylan the fastest guy for whatever reason and go with that. So anyways, we're about 2/3 of the way around this lap here. Just about up to 100 miles an hour. Which is, again, nice change of pace. I spent, whatever, I said 14 tournaments going through the 356 Cup, which was painstaking and awful. And then I got to the point where I could start affording used cars, and just it's faster to do it that way. It's not fun and it's dumb, but fastest way to grind out some money is that we can go through here and fulfill our garage aspirations. So again, watch for the sticky out bits of furniture, excuse me, scenery here. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm tired. It's fine. A little bit of a crest here, and then we'll go through the tunnel. There's a crest. Didn't quite get airtime. Up over 100 though with this 4-speed transmission. I guess that's all we got, which is fine. Plenty of speed. Almost up to a minute gap now. Light drag above the brakes just to make sure we get everything settled down and get the turn-in point correct. Navigate through there. Just a couple of more corners now. About 3 more turns. Pretty good handling on this 356A Super Speedster. Pretty good car, very happy with it, and obviously the performance is good enough. Into the left-hander here, we'll come across and we'll have a nice right-left swoop, and that'll be it. And we do get the nice jump here. We haven't been here yet, but this track does have a great jump right at the finish line, which we love to use. There we go. Across the finish line. Of course, damage that happens after the finish line doesn't count, so we'll go soaring off into the canyon wall. Successful first race. We win by about 57 seconds there, it looks like. Yep, so Speedster for us, Speedster for Wingnut, Speedster for Amazon, a couple of convertibles, and some coupes. So interesting that the Speedsters didn't ascend themselves up towards the front. I don't know how that works. This is our 8th best time around here. Works for me. All right, on to what's next. Normandy, we do get to start from the front. We've been here before. Probably about a 4-minute, 15-second event, I would assume, because we do, it's what, about 4 minutes 40 or so in the 356, so I'd assume we pick up 20 to 25 seconds. We do get to start from the front, which is nice, so we'll get underway here. A little bit of a better start for Dylan and the cars behind, partially because they get to be on the inside, driver's left there, partially because I guess they just launched pretty well. But we will take the lead in corner number 2 and start to pull away now, hopefully. Should be pretty straightforward. Again, these early tournaments, pretty simple, pretty basic. Not very difficult and short, of course. The 2 races is pretty short, pretty straightforward, so going to be a little bit shorter of an episode once again. Just 2 races in this one, but as we get going here, they'll get longer. Some of them have 5 or 6 races as we get on to the further eras, especially once we get out of this classic era. The classic era is pretty short, but golden era is pretty long, and the modern era can be very long with the mix of tournaments they throw at you, so we'll get to that eventually in due time. But navigate through here. Track we know well. We've driven here plenty in the 356, both in the last episode last week and off camera that I did, so pretty much know where we're heading. There we go. I have had some issues with our key inputs not recording on the game. I don't know why. It seems like it's when you're on the throttle too long like this, it like stops recording your throttle, and so you have to get off of it and go back onto it, which is very interesting. I haven't really experienced that, and I can't quite figure out again why that is happening. But this game, again, this is a 24, almost 25-year-old game now, and it's going to do some weird, quirky things. It's going to have some things that don't quite make sense, that I'm not smart enough for sure to figure out, like the sound thing. Not exactly sure why the audio is the way it is, but we'll take it nice and slow here, make sure we don't spear off into the hay bales. We have a nice gap, so not a pressure behind us. Ooh, big slide there. We're good. So yeah, just weird, quirky handling. One of the things with this game, obviously, when you're playing it on keyboard pads, you know, it's not the most fine-tuned gaming experience I've ever played, but that's fine. That's part of the deal. That's part of the nostalgia and the joy, so not concerned about that. What did I say we were aiming for? About 415. We should be able to get through that, so again, we're not getting any throttle input. There we go. Just stab with the brakes to reset it, I guess. I don't know exactly why that's happening, but had that a couple times, but thankfully we have a nice gap. Shouldn't affect us too much. Don't know why that's happening, though. I really don't. I tried rebinding the keys to my my racing wheel and just using, similar to what I did for Hot Pursuit 2 and Dirt to Daytona actually in the past. Those previous playthroughs, I tried binding it. Yeah, it's not good. I tried binding it to the, just the X square directional D-pad buttons and playing it that way, and it did not like that at all. It really freaked out and crashed everything, and it was not a good time. I don't know why, but it seems to prefer the keyboard, I guess, because that's obviously how you would have played it 25 years ago. It's your only option to play it on keyboard, so that's fine with me. I don't have a problem with that. It's perfectly fine. And we don't really need any of the other controls. Again, it still isn't like my default camera setting, so I have to press C twice when we load into the race to go from the kind of onboard camera to this chase camera, which is fine. I don't mind that. But yeah, no idea why we're having so many weird key bugs, but not affecting the gameplay, and I'm still plenty happy with being able to play this game through and relive parts of my childhood. So come along here, just a couple corners to go. My 415 prediction looks like it might be pretty close, actually. Just a couple more corners here. We might be a smidge under 415. But we have a nice gap once again. Just about 50 seconds back to Dylan. We're going to probably be a little bit under 415 here, but not a crazy amount. Going to be pretty close, actually. There's the finish line around this slight bend. And our final time is going to be for just shy of 413. So my 415 prediction was pretty good, actually. I'm pretty pleased with that. But we made it. We survived. So that's Normandy done. And as the 356 Cup completed, so we'll see what kind of prizes we get here for that. Win by just about 1 minute and 1 second over Dylan. We did win the tournament. Thank you very much. So we take our 17,200. Couple of safe bonuses is key. That's going to be extra money we can use. So 17.2 going back towards where we're at. You see, my best 356 time was 4:20, I guess. So we picked up about 7.5 seconds from that. I did do a test run when I was testing the game at a 356B. So we'll aim for that in a future episode. But for now, we'll take it. So 356B Endurance will be our next tournament next time out. Must be 356B limited 1600cc, so we can't use the Carrera 2000, which I don't even know if is available yet. But we'll look at that. So the 356B exclusive race, a testament to the quality, performance, endurance of Porsche's 356 line of sports cars. A slightly more aggressive set of opponents. Put your newly acquired racing skills to the test. And of course, we have 3 races: Côte d'Azur, Pyrenees, and Normandy, which we just did. And Noose Flock in 1960 here of new cars. So we'll look at what we have to offer next week. Again, many options. We'll just get a cab, a super cab, super 90 cab, roadster, super 90 roadster. You know, we'll play it by ear when we get to that point. But in the meantime, we will call it a day right here. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Make sure you drop that like again, sub down below if you're new. Every week we'll have a Porsche, Need for Speed Porsche Unleashed episode coming out new. And of course, during the week, more Camaro content, track day content when applicable, iRacing content, and everything else I do. So again, I appreciate you all so much as always. And we will move on to what's next week with the Porsche 356B tournament. And we're already clicking right through this classical era, and we'll be in the golden era before you know it. So that's going to be it. Appreciate you all so much. Till next time, as always, bye.